Yeah, that's good.
Trustee Davis?
Sit.
Sit.
We're picking you up on
Trustee
that audio.
Ayala?
Here.
Trustee Bullfist? Trustee Case? Trustee Taglia?
Here.
Trustee Wagner?
Here.
President Willowbrook? Here. All right, please rise for the pledge. I will start the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We could all remain standing. Trustee Taglia, if you could please lead us in a prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, thou be pleased to grant that this meeting, thus begun in order, be conducted in peace and closed in harmony. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Item number 3 on the agenda, motion to approve the agenda. And that was John Davis, Trustee Davis. Is there a second?
Madam President,
Trustee Taglia.
I'll second the motion.
Questions and comments from the board? Questions and comments from the public? If you do, we've got mics in the 2 aisles in front here. Roll call vote. Trustee Ayala?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfist? Trustee Case? Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Davis? Yes. President Willowbrook? Yes. Item number 4, consider parking at Metra via Pay app. Manager Keener?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ron. Staff recommends Passport Parking LLC as the provider of internet and smartphone technology for the Metro parking lot. The cost for this service is 25 cents per day, which will be passed on to the users. Passport Parking will provide signage and printed materials for the users. There are no service or equipment costs to the village in Passport Parking. Several other proposals reviewed by staff required capital outlay by the village for equipment. Staff is requesting that the village board review and approve the term sheet for a parking app. Then you are charged at 25 cents. If not, you can still pay cash as usual and not absorb the 25 cents. Additionally, to enforce the parking measure, for instance, if you were to use the app and pay the extra 25 cents, one question that has been given to me, how would the police department know in advance how to enforce parking within the parking lot? And the answer is that our officers will have access to the internet website, access to a log of everyone that day that paid the extra 25 cents and used the app. And then with that, we're going to renumber the Metro parking lot. So with the printout or download, they'll also have the parking lot stall of the individual who used the app that day. Thank you.
Questions and comments from the board? Questions and comments from the public? I just have one. Oh yes, please. Yes, yes. If you could please identify yourself for the record. It's okay.
And I was just curious, it seems like after about 8:30, there's not enough number of spaces. So when they're numbered, will there be more spaces added?
Yes.
Chief Pavlicek, would you like to answer that? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add? Chief Pavlicek or Mary Ann? Okay. Very good. One other thing I'd like to add is in regards to the 25-cent fee, that is optional. It's a fee that will be charged if you choose to use this service. It's optional. So we have received a number of requests from residents looking for the electronic app capability. So this is just kind of an answer to the residents' requests. So it is an option if you choose to use it. That will be a fee. It's just a fee that we will be passing on to the vendors. there anybody else? Okay. Yes, we'll let the record reflect that trustee Wolf has just arrived.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. We don't have any other questions and comments. Roll call vote to move item number 4 to the formal agenda.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Davis? Yes. Trustee Ayello? Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 5 on the agenda, consider ambulance purchase. Manager Keener?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff is recommending the purchase of a new 2014 Horton Type 1 ambulance with a 6.7-liter diesel engine on a Ford F-450 chassis. This engine will be easier for fleet personnel to perform preventative maintenance, and the 6.7-liter diesel motor has an excellent track record in recent years for performance and mechanical issues. The cost of the ambulance will be $182,028 and is proposed to be purchased from Foster Coach in Sterling, Illinois. A credit of $10,500 is being offered for the trade-in of Medic 983, as well as a prepayment discount of $3,590. The village's intent is to finance the amount of $167,938 through a lease purchase contract. Staff is requesting the village board review the purchase of a new ambulance to replace Medic number 983 due to the extensive mechanical deficiencies. And Your Honor and Board, I'd like to elaborate a little bit on the mechanical deficiencies. Ambulance number 983 has had plenty of mechanical deficiencies. In fact, right now, year to date and through its life, it's cost the village a little over $50,000 in repair costs and maintenance to this. In fact, within the last 20 days, we spent another $4,900. This unit had a massive oil leak and was out of service for a little over 2 weeks. And from my notations in the previous manager's reports that this ambulance is considered a lemon. It actually has a van chassis where you have to go inside and remove the cover to do any type of work at all. The mechanical is all in the inside. It's not like a regular automobile or a Type F where you can lift the hood on the outside and work on the automobile or vehicle. Staff certainly recommends just basically, quite frankly, getting rid of this vehicle and financing the purchase of the F-450. Currently, we have the newer ambulance being financed along with the payment for our jetter. We have this year's payment for both those items and then the payment next year. And then there are no payments for those two items after that. If we purchase this item, we would have to order it. It would have to be constructed. The chassis would have to be built, and then the box placed on the chassis. So if we ordered it within the next few weeks, we probably would not receive this vehicle until February 2014. And that being the case, it would be my recommendation to look for a payment in February, the first payment in February 2015, which would be the village would be quite capable of doing that. The payment would probably be around $36,000 for a 5-year lease purchase program at about 2.62% or so. We, at one of our recent board meetings, we have issued a termination contract, a notice to basically Good Sam, who does our collection for the ambulance fees right now. And if everyone remembers, that collection rate has an average of 38%. And we have decided to go with PBS, Paramedic Billing Services, which has a collection rate average of about 70%. So taking that into consideration, and taking into consideration we are putting money away for vehicles, we have approximately $120,000 put away for a new fire truck or any other apparatus. And effective May 1, 2014, we'll put away some more funding. So the funding will be there. for the first payment and moving forward after that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Questions or comments from the board?
Madam President,
Trustee Davis.
something that should be noted for the public and the rest of the board is we're trying something different, which we should have been doing for a long time, is we're doing body transfers.
Pardon me if you can be on the mic.
We're going to do body transfers, so that's why we're going with one of these so that we can.
Hold on, we have a backup for you. For some reason we can't hear you. Mics are live, but for some reason that one's not. So.
Your Honor, we're going to use this microphone.
Okay, whatever works. We need to do this for the purposes of the Cable Commission, since we'll be recording this, and also so everybody in the audience here with us tonight can hear us.
Hi, I guess you can hear me now. One of the things that we're doing, that we should have been doing for a long time, is doing body transfers. If we go with the 450 chassis, we can keep remounting that same ambulance body onto a newer chassis, which should save us a lot of money over the years. So that we'll just be paying for the chassis. The most expensive part is the back end, the ambulance body itself. And this is something that, like I said, we should have been doing for a long time. This ambulance has been a nightmare forever and a day. I think this is a good idea to keep pushing forward with this kind of, and any of our PW, any, I think this is what we need to keep doing body transfers and changing chassis. You can have your Chesapeake White man.
Any other comments, questions, comments from the board?
Madam President?
Trustee Wagner. Sorry, I'll with you next.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm certainly in favor of this. I read in the material that we were given that the ambulance is broken down in calls, it's broken down at hospital, it's arrived at the hospital, so it's something we can't tolerate. But I do recall reading that we're going to spend or have spent $16,000 recently on the ambulance. Is that correct?
Manager Keener.
We have spent significant amount of money recently. As I mentioned, I think it was $4,900 for the massive oil leak within the last 3 weeks. But you could be right. I don't have the amount we've spent for the $17,000 in front of me. Maybe the Chief Rakosnik, do you recall spending $17,000 lately?
Yes, right now it's at $16,000.
Just a follow-up question. Just wondering why the trade-in on the vehicle is so low, just because of its past history, I guess?
That is a very good question, and I asked that same question to Chief Rakosnik, and the trade-in amount is $10,500 because no one wants them. No one wants the E450 because of the mechanical issues. They've proven to have many mechanical issues. In fact, the Village of Lombard has went away from the E450 some time ago and now have a fleet of F450s. And unfortunately, we purchased the E450. We did try to trade chassis to remedy the issue. We were not able to do that and switched to an F450 to get away from the van type mechanical issue. So unfortunately, the $10,500 is what they're going to offer for the trade-in. However, one stipulation we could do, and I did talk to this about this with Chief Rakosnik and the company who was offering financing, that we could try to sell our vehicle on eBay and try to get more than $10,500, and that would be fine if we were able to do that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Trustee Volpes. Any other questions or comments from the board? Questions and comments from the public? Okay, looks like we have one. Come on down. Okay. State your name for the record.
My name's Cheryl Tucker, 434 South Cornell. My question is, did we not purchase an ambulance in the last 3 years? And is this the ambulance that we purchased that's falling apart?
Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. We did purchase an ambulance, I believe, about 3 years ago, and that's the one I mentioned that we have a payment this year and a payment next year. And that is the other first-line ambulance. The ambulance that we're talking about here is number 983, which is the other first response vehicle. So when the EMS gets a call, 983 rolls too. And unfortunately, 983 isn't dependable and breaks down. And it depends on which side of town you are. We have 2 fire stations, one on the north side, one on the south side. So we do need 2 first-line ambulances to service our community. And just so everyone in the audience knows that the number of fires over probably the last decade have decreased, but the number of EMS trips have tripled and just is really growing. In fact, Chief Wojcicki and I were just talking today that our billables for EMS service is very close to $800,000 a year. Thank you.
Other question for you. How long have we had this vehicle?
I want to say at least 7 years. Is that right? I'm getting a yes from our chief here, so 7 years. All right. Any other questions and comments from the public in regards to this item? Okay. Roll call vote to move item number 5 to the formal.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Aiello. Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
President Bowico.
Yes. Item number 6 on the agenda, consider proposal from Infrastructure Management Services, IMS, of Rolling Meadows, Illinois, for a pavement condition evaluation of all village streets. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Robert. The Public Works Engineering Division maintains a database of all streets in the village. This inventory includes detailed pavement condition data that was collected in 2005 and 2006. The information assists village staff in selecting streets to be improved and determining the most cost-effective methods of improvement. A new pavement condition survey is needed to update the pavement database. This will allow village staff to reassess the village's future street rehabilitation needs. It is proposed to use a laser road surface testing, RST, to provide an objective evaluation of roughness, rut depth, cracking, and texture of approximately 98 lane miles of streets within the village. In addition, a Dynaflex machine will be used to perform a non-destructive structural analysis of pavement base and subgrade sections. All data will be transferred to the village database. The total cost of the proposed work is $36,759. Funds will be taken from the Street Improvement Fund. And Your Honor and Board, really what this is saying in kind of layman's terms is that the vehicle is going to pull like a trailer down every single road in Villa Park, roughly 98 miles or so, and bounce like lasers off the pavement to tell us and record the cracking or if the curbs are breaking or what condition the road is in. So we do this about every 10 years or so, and then we have the data that is done by the Dynaflex machine and analyzed and put into our software so we can analyze which streets are the worst, and then we'll rank them. And that's going to be very important moving forward, is the ranking of the streets so that we can move forward with road improvements in a progressive manner. Thank you, Your Honor.
Questions and comments from the board?
Madam President,
Trustee Davis.
I do believe this is something we need to do. The streets have addressed, we've changed over the years. But
Trustee
my-
Davis, I'm sorry, can you use the mic? Again. Yeah. We need to be able to pick you up
It's-
for Cable Commission and the folks in the audience.
This is something that we really needed to do. The streets have changed so much over the years. Is there a way that we can find out what the sub-base of the streets are? Because a lot of the times we're having a guessing game as to what the sub-base is on the bad streets, or what the materials are of them.
Our Director of Public Works is approaching to answer that question. No, for some reason. It's not live. If you want to go to the other mic, we know that's working. Yeah.
It works.
Is it? It didn't, okay.
you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
That's what the Dynaflect machine does. The Dynaflect actually measures pavement deflective, and they're able to get an idea of the base condition without actually coring the road. Ultimately, during design, you take cores or soil borings to determine the base condition, but the Dynaflect allows you to get an idea of the base condition without physically destructing the road. So yes, we do find out through this testing how good the base is and whether the streets are a candidate for resurfacing or whether they require complete reconstruction.
Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a kind of a follow-up question, Venus. So will this uncover if there are voids or washouts in streets? I'm thinking of what happened in, for example, in Chicago when they had the rain, they had a terrible sinkhole. And will they give us an indication if there's anything happening? And one more question. Is it possible we could get them to do some of the municipal parking lots as well, just to see what the condition of those are?
To answer your second question first, certainly they can do any pavement that we direct them to do. As far as voids in the pavement, I think it's more an indirect indication. If there's a void in the pavement, that's indication of base failure, and certainly will come back in the condition reports that there is base failure. Even though it may not tell you the exact cause of the base failure, it will tell you that there's a problem in that section of pavement.
Additional questions and comments from the board? Trustee Bolfus?
Venus, how often do they do this testing on, let's say, on a mile of street, where they test for the sub-base? Because, it could be good one, street. Does that mean the whole street's bad, or do they do something?
No, they average the results per test section. I mean, the data is continuous, obviously, but they have to average it per section, which is usually one block segments.
Okay.
Additional questions and comments from the board? Trustee Ayala?
Assuming this is approved.
Want to use the mic?
Assuming it's approved?
No.
Assuming it's approved, how fast does this get done?
We're talking about getting it done in the next month or two.
Next month or two? Okay. Additional questions and comments from the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Wilwinkle?
Yes. Item number 7, advance to bill listing. This includes items A through D. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Come on to the podium, I'm sorry. Or to the mic. Sorry about that. Questions or comments from the public?
Yes. On the data process we had.
I'm sorry, you have to identify yourself again.
Cheryl Tucker, 434 South Cornell. On the data process we had in 2005 and 2006, isn't that valid to show the street pictures out there on what roads need to be fixed without doing another data thing?
Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The pavement evaluation from 05 and 06 needs to be updated because we have completed many roads since that time. Plus, some of the roads might have deteriorated, just even taking consideration the flooding in April. Some of those roads have maybe deteriorated much more than the 05-06 study. And I believe Director Giscalis might want to add something.
No? Oh, okay. One of the features of the program is that it helps you determine what pavement strategy to use on rehabilitating the pavement. So you have a bad road, but do you need a resurfacing of it? Do you need a thick resurfacing, or do you need complete reconstruction? And that's one of the things the pavement management program helps you to determine what rehabilitation is the most cost effective to perform on the street. Because visually, some of those streets all look the same, but they may have a salvageable base and may only require an overlay, which would cost considerably less. So basically, the program helps us utilize our funds more cost effectively by making the right decisions on what to do on the street.
So if I understand you correctly, without doing the survey, you can't tell us what way to fix our roads without spending this amount of money instead of using this to fix our roads?
We have 100 miles of streets that, you know, looking at them with your own eyes visually, you're just not going to be able to differentiate the condition of one street from another to any degree. So it's very difficult to prioritize streets just based on visual observations. This gives you a scientific basis for determining the condition of the streets based on multiple factors. So it's a tool for prioritizing pavement needs, basically.
One more question for you. Okay, so we put this money in the survey to prove what roads need fixing. Will there be funds to fix the road after we do this survey?
That's a good question. And what we're going to be doing after the survey, the analysis will be performed. We are currently doing several roadways right now that have not been done in the past, such as Park Boulevard and Van Buren, east of Ardmore. And what we've done as staff is when some projects have come less than engineer's estimate, we're taking those funds and doing the design for roadways that need to be completed so that when funds are available either through the state or federal agencies, that they're shovel ready and we can pass them off to those agencies to receive funding in a more rapid manner, because the first thing we want to do is do the design so that we know what exactly has to be done. And the first step is the Dynaflect machine and the pavement analysis, and then the ranking, and then moving forward from there to address the situations. And for funding, we receive approximately $1.5 million through non-home rule sales tax that is paid and collected for street improvements. We also receive almost $600,000 annually for MFT, through MFT funds based on capita. That's nowhere near the amount of money that we need to improve our roadways. MFT is motor fuel tax. And using the analysis provided by the machine and prioritizing, it makes our money go further and creates less waste. And when our projects come in less than the engineer's estimates, there's some money there that are available to use towards design. And so what we'll do when the analysis is complete and some projects come in under, we'll take the first two or three projects and then start doing design so that they're shovel ready. And we all know that election season's coming up for Governor Quinn, and I would suspect, it's my personal opinion, that some road money might become available for some votes, but we'll see. But the election season's coming, and we'll be ready with some shovel-ready projects. Thank you.
How long will this survey be in effect? If we have it done, when will we have to have it done again?
They recommend 5 years, but we've been stretching it out to 7 or 8 years in between testing.
This one went about 10 years.
So it's been 10 years since we've had
It's
one?
about 10 years. Close to it, not quite,
Okay.
but close.
Have we actually been using the funds for the streets that you mentioned?
Yes. Yes, we have. What little funds we have. And we have received some grants. I know that Director Giskelis can quote almost down to the dollar. We look for grants every day, and the grants really are for major thoroughfares. It could be Villa, it could be Summit, it could be Ardmore. What really happens with the side streets, that's where the local money comes in. The MFT or the non-home rule sales tax and things of that nature, even maybe some water or sewer money to replace the water or sewer mains if they happen to be in the roadway. What we're doing moving forward, and this is going to be a very progressive administration, and I mentioned that to President Bullwinkle today. We have a very good board. We have a very good, talented staff. When these projects are shovel-ready, we're placing them into a Villa Park legislative priorities booklet, and we come in contact with legislators. We've been handing them the booklet. And recently, we received 2 emails that Governor Quinn was looking for special projects to promote, and within probably an hour, we had 2 projects to that office looking for funding because we have been designing and having things shovel-ready. So I think it's very important that we do the analysis and do the design, have them shovel-ready so we're ready to go. Thank you.
Has the funds been used in the past years, or do they accumulate? Seeing it looks like we have, some roads haven't been replaced for over 10 years.
If you would read the memo, the $1.5 million that we take in a year will allow you to do 1 reconstruction project per year, or it'll allow you to do a small reconstruction project and resurfacing, or you can do a large amount of resurfacing and no reconstruction projects. So given the amount of miles of streets in the village, that really doesn't take you very far if you have reconstruction needs, which we do. So we try and balance it out between resurfacing and reconstruction as far as the money will take us, but it is still not enough to maintain enough of a cycle to address all the streets.
We'll actually be getting into that in more detail in our town hall meeting, which will be immediately following this meeting. So, thank you. Any other public comments on this item? Good? Okay. So item number 7, advance to bill listing, letters A through D. Questions and comments from the board on the bill listing? Questions and comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Davis? Yes. Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfuss?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 8, convene to formal agenda. Item number 1, on the formal agenda, Village President's Report. Just have a couple quick things tonight. Just wanted to make a quick announcement. Received a piece of good news right before the board meeting in regards to a new hardware store is actually going to be coming to Villa Park, where the previous hardware store was housed right off of St. Charles Road. And Mamie Yee, our Director of Economic Development, is here. She has a very quick update on this. I mean, this is literally hot off the press. The contract was just signed, so we wanted to share the news with you.
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that the former Ace Hardware will be, the lease was just signed today, and Lou Manfredini, Mr. Fixit from WGN, will be the new, Aces actually operates as a co-op, so he will be the new operator. He has an existing store in Chicago. Manager Keener and I have met with him, and he's very excited. He's been looking for a store for 4 to 5 years, and he's chosen Villa Park as his second store. And he will also participate in our 4th of July parade with a vehicle, and he looks to open the store sometime at the end of August with a soft opening, and then a grand opening in late September and early October. And originally I had my first meeting with ACE in early February. I've had a series of meetings with ACE, both with their brokers, the ACE Corporate, as well as Lou Manfredini. So we've been working on this project for quite a number of months.
Thank you for your efforts. You know, we were hoping that another hardware store would replace the hardware store that left, so we appreciate that update. Had very little information, but I knew that you would have some of the details to share with the public. So,
thank you.
And with the board. All right. Thank you. Next item on my president's report, I just want to thank everybody for participating in Summerfest. It was this weekend. We had a really good turnout. I was there on Friday night. It was just really a neat opportunity to see our volunteers, our staff, our community come together and make an incredible annual event happen. And it was really a pleasure to be there, to watch all the heavy lifting that took place over the course of a year that it takes to plan an event of that magnitude. So I just want to thank everybody involved for that effort. It was really a job well done. And with that, that concludes my village president's report. I want to go to item number 2 on the formal agenda, public comments on agenda items. And this is regarding our agenda items. So if any member from the public would like to speak on an agenda item, you can come to one of our microphones that we have set up in the aisle. And if you can speak for just up to 3 minutes, that would be fantastic. This is regarding agenda items. Do we have anybody from the public who'd like to speak on agenda items? Okay, please stand up and take the mic. This is on agenda items.
My name is Rick Schultz from A to Z Body and Fender, 400 West St. Charles Road in Bell Park.
Yes. Sure, you can switch.
That's what you get for being tall.
I'm sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I understand there was supposed to be a vote about the sign ordinance change. Can I address that?
That is an agenda item, so yes.
Okay, I can do this in less than 3 minutes. So,
Okay.
A couple things. On July 13th of 2011, quite a few people probably remember the meeting, but there was a large meeting at the Villanova restaurant where there was about 200 people in attendance in reference to the comprehensive plan and new ordinance changes. This involved the issue and discussion of the signs. Very few people knew of the plans. No one knew of the plan approval. There was nobody had raised their hand, was even familiar that a comprehensive plan had been approved. The village official called the plan a dream fantasy, and at the end of the meeting there was a strong disapproval from all the people, which was heard. The disapproval was about the poor communication with people and businesses, and it was made very clear that important changes would be better known and announced in the future. Watching the village website is not an appropriate way for communicating with important changes, especially big changes that affect the future of our community and businesses. On April 3rd of this year, Mr. Patrick Grill, who is our Community Development Director, myself and quite a few other people had a meeting, and he wanted to learn what the concerns were about the sign owners and how we got to where we're at today. So it was very well spelled out. Quite a few people are here today that was there to witness that. And, as these businesses attended these things, also Trustee Bob Wagner was there. He expressed a lot of concern as to what was going on. It was clearly explained that many meetings had occurred without any type of agreements. The main reason these ordinance changes were proposed, though, is because of the past comprehensive plan approval. I find it's offensive to learn that the village would go ahead and make a motion to approve this amendment without contacting the 29 people and businesses that would be greatly affected by this change. I would ask the village officials to table the motion until a realistic interpretation of the comprehensive plan is presented. If the plan was to change where we would agree that we are a town where you go to get things done, I think the sign amendment would look more like, let's get better signs, let's get bigger signs, let's improve our existing businesses. Why would we hurt the success of that and damage the existing businesses now, especially when we're basing this over a dream fantasy that came from our village and a thing that would be nearly impossible. I just don't understand that, but I would ask anybody else that was there that's familiar with this to reiterate some of those things if you felt that these things are an issue. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public in regards to agenda items? Okay. Take the mic and identify your name for the record.
I'm Joel Johnson. I'm here representing Johnson's Lighthouse. I just want to reiterate what Rick said here. We've been dealing with this issue for 4 years. I didn't find out until this morning that this meeting was taking place. I don't have time to scour the village website to find page 41 out of 200 pages to figure out what's going on. And there are several issues I have with this ordinance. Number one being the elimination of electronic reader boards on St. Charles Road. I think it's ridiculous to eliminate and take that tool away from me that I spent so much money and use my strategy as a business to draw people into my business away from me. So I'd just like to reiterate that I do agree with what Rick here has said, and I hope that you guys can reconsider what you voted on in the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Well, okay. State your name for the record.
Mike Orlowski, resident of Villa Park. I'm on the P&Z Commission. If I remember correctly, this wasn't part of the comprehensive plan. This was actually something that was brought to P&Z, I would say 3 or 4 years ago. Planning and Zoning Commission worked on this for about 3 or 4 years. The Economic Development Commission worked on this for about 3 or 4 years. It's not something that was thrown together. I know I've both seen you in all the open meetings that we had for planning and zoning, the special meeting that we had at the Odeum as far as going over the sign functions. I mean, this wasn't something that nobody didn't know about. It's been going on. We've had, I want to say, at least 9 meetings open to the public for the sign ordinance that most of the business owners were at, and there was great discussion as far as what we were considering. And we did come up with a reasonable offer that everybody agreed with in the end, until it went to the board went and looked at it, and when they looked at it, it was basically postponed. And now they're bringing back that same plan, but that wasn't part of the comprehensive plan. That was a sign ordinance. Other than that, that's it. Thanks.
State your name for the record.
Joanne Marcotte, I'm chairperson for the Economical Development Committee. We've met many times on these signs. We had a meeting with Patrick, and we were told we would be kept in the loop. He sent out a draft stating what the meeting took place, any comments. Comments were sent back. There was never a final report of what was going to go before the board. The communication level has been horrible to the business owners. In the EDC, I pleaded to try to have more communication, not getting it. No one knew that this proposal went back to the board. Never informed. I mean, as I said, we don't have time to scour the agenda on the web. We work. We're in this town to work and bring you the town money, and you're virtually taking money away from us by doing this. Now, we talked to Patrick the other day on the phone. I called him about this. I said, what's going on? I don't know anything about it. The only way I knew about it was because of the EDC meeting we had the other night. And he basically told Rick and I it was our job to go out and tell the businesses this was happening, not his. That's how we're being supported. It's not right. We had no clue. And yes, EDC and P&Z both worked on this. But we're not in agreement with what is proposed. So all we're asking is that we postpone this and you guys give us a fair shake. We're bringing the money into this town for the town. It's not the homeowners bringing it in. We're bringing it in. But yet you're taking our advertisement away. And it's saying, okay, you're grandfathered in. But the proposal won't make the signs usable. So it doesn't matter if we're grandfathered in. A 3-second interval is not going to make the sign work. And I don't understand. I don't know if you guys don't grasp how these signs work, and that's why you don't understand and you think they're going to work. They're not. So these $40,000 to $50,000 these businesses have spent to bring business into your town that you represent, we're going to lose. Well, hopefully we're not going to lose all of it, but we are going to lose. And it's not fair to the owners. And as far as the comprehensive plan, I was told by P&Z that before they even knew I was a business owner, I was told that these signs on the street do not fit the vision of what the future of the comprehensive plan is. So yes, there is a correlation between the comprehensive plan and the signs. And then a village trustee sitting at this table stood up at the meeting and said, this whole thing is just a fantasy. It's 20 years away. Don't worry about it. Well, you know what? A lot of us will, I hope I'm not working in 20 years, but I hope my business is going to be here in 20 years. But it's just a fantasy. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions and comments from the public? Agenda items? All right, we're going to move on to item number 3 on the agenda, the consent agenda. Oh, is there somebody else? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time seeing with all these lights, so pardon me.
Hello, my name is Brian Nowak with the Villa Park Dairy Queen. I just want to reiterate what some of our other people here have said about the communication. I, again, am strongly against the ordinance as far as restricting businesses from putting up electronic message centers. I know I would be grandfathered in, but I think it would be limiting other people that would have the potential to generate more business for themselves. So I just think it should be postponed so you guys can get some more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from public on agenda items? Trying to make sure I catch everybody. Okay. All right. Item number 3 then on the agenda, consent agenda. A, minutes from village board meeting for June 10th, 2013. B, minutes from village COW for June 10th, 2013. C, minutes from special meeting / workshop for June 17th, 2013. D, approved bill listing dated June 24th, 2013 in the amount of $820,243.06. May I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Trustee Taglia?
move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Madam President?
Trustee Aiello? Questions and comments from the board? Trustee Aiello?
Just because of the chronology there, I want to make sure that public knows these minutes.
Use the mic.
I'm not loud enough?
We got to pick you up for the cable commission too.
Minutes and bill listing that we're approving has nothing to do with what we were just discussing at the mic. Two totally unrelated things.
Any questions and comments from the board? Okay, roll call vote, please. Clerk Kornecki?
Trustee Davis? Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 4, first reading of an ordinance amending the Villa Park zoning ordinance by adding a transit-oriented overlay district in an area surrounding the village's commuter railroad station. The proposed amendment would provide a set of development guidelines for developers of property around the train station area. Rather than requiring a planned unit development process, which can take a significant amount of time, this amendment will provide development guidelines that, if met, would only require a building permit. Following a public hearing on this amendment, the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of a text amendment creating a TOD overlay district surrounding the existing train station on Ardmore Avenue. Staff requests that the village president and board of trustees approve an ordinance which changes the various text amendments of Appendix C of the Village of Villa Park Code. May I have a motion on item number 4?
Madam President,
Yes, for the first reading. Trustee Wagner.
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Madam President?
Trustee Bullfus.
Second.
Questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Davis? President Bullwinkle?
Yes. Item number 5, second reading of an ordinance amending the text of the sign regulations in the Villa Park zoning ordinances regulating electronic message display panels. On Wednesday, April 3rd, the Community Development Director met with several owners of electric signs in Villa Park. This meeting was scheduled at the behest of the Village Board prior to their consideration of the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission on electronic signs. Currently, there are 29 electronic signs located in Villa Park and concentrated along 3 principal corridors: North Avenue, St. Charles Road, and Roosevelt Road. Only 5 signs are not located on one of these corridors. Before we get into discussion, actually, perhaps. Okay. I'm getting a flash here. We're going to switch the tape. So we have to watch. We have to wait just a minute. The Cable Commission is going to switch the tape so we can start a new tape. More showtime again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're back on. Okay.
Madam President?
I think perhaps maybe before we get into this, if we can have our Community Development Director, Patrick Grill. There were some questions and comments and concerns that were brought up during that portion of the agenda. So if we can have Patrick Grill, our Director of Community Development, shed a little bit of light on this subject.
Sure. I did meet with the couple of sign owners on April 3rd. I did send out a draft memo to them on what I thought the concerns that were brought up during that meeting. I did receive one comment on that. I did make that change. Everything that was brought up at that meeting, I did include in your agenda memo originally on this sign ordinance recommendation. I also want to dispel the notion that we're prohibiting electronic signs on St. Charles Road. That is an incorrect statement. Everybody who currently has an electronic sign on St. Charles Road would be able to keep that sign. It would just prohibit new additional electronic sign on St. Charles Road as well as...
That's Mother Nature here.
As well as several other corridors.
Mother Nature.
And the... And the proposal before you was one that was recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission and already been endorsed by the Economic Development Commission also.
Did everybody hear that? Because we're having issues here. Everybody, okay.
Microphone's not working.
Or maybe that one might be conked out. I want to try the other. Okay.
Turn around.
This is off channel. Okay. We haven't lost power, but kind of sort of we have.
President Bowman?
Yes.
They lost power to the sound system and it'll be resetting shortly.
Okay. Recording anything at this time. We've lost power.
Madam President?
It's back up.
We're back. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so Patrick, you want to continue?
Yes. Well, as I said, the proposal, the agenda item that was included in your packet did include the concerns from that meeting on April 3rd. And the proposal that was made by the Planning and Zoning Commission, I supported. And the ordinance that was drafted reflected that. If there's any other questions that you have, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions and comments? Okay. Well, we need a motion first.
Madam President?
Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion that we table this item until July 15th. I respect the work that Director Grill has put in on this issue and that Planning and Zoning has put on this issue. But I also recognize that we have members of the business community that have concerns about it, and why not give them additional time to just air their thoughts on this issue. I don't think by waiting a few more weeks is going to harm anything. Let's close the loop and let them have their say. So I would like to make a motion once again to table this item until July 15th.
Do we have a second? Trustee Ayala? Second.
No discussion.
Okay, no discussion on a motion to table, so we will take a roll call vote this time.
Trustee Polkus?
No.
Correct. It would be July 8th or 6th.
Okay. There's no, what we're talking about up here is there's no meeting on July 15th.
Okay.
So it'll be either the 8th or the following.
For the 14th then.
No.
No.
Oh, sorry.
The 8th would be the next board meeting is July 8th.
And then the following one is July 22nd.
July 22nd.
So I would like to make the motion to table it till July 22nd.
Okay, then we need to amend the motion. All right. Want to repeat? Well, hold on. Trustee Wagner, if you could repeat your motion then, with the correct date.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we table this item until July 22nd.
Trustee Aiello. Okay. Trustee Aiello just seconded the corrected motion. All right. Do a roll call vote at this time on the motion.
Trustee Bolfus.
No.
Trustee Taglia.
No.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
No.
Trustee Aiello. President Bullwinkle.
No.
Go back to the main, we have to make a motion to approve.
All right. So we're going to make a motion to approve item number 5, the second reading of this ordinance. Make a motion. Yes. Trustee Taglia.
Second reading.
We have a second? Trustee Davis?
Second.
Questions and comments from the board? Trustee Aiello.
There's no business people here that are in support of this motion is the interesting thing. So generally, I would think if this was felt to be needed in the business community, somebody from the business community would be here supporting it. So the business community clearly does not support it. The residents of the village, I can't tell, because I don't have a comment from the residents of the village in any way, shape, or form here, other than what staff and this board thinks, but from the residents that are here tonight, no comment. I appreciate that planning and zoning does a lot of work, and it's gone through a lot of effort to get this far. At the same time, planning and zoning has to recognize that planning and zoning struggled mightily to even get this far. That there's no real unanimity over the topic of exactly how this ordinance should read among any committee or among the group of committees. So the business community, in my opinion, needs to be followed here. For the most strong point for the business community in this regard is these business owners really do believe that these signs attract business to them. In my opinion, the business owners are not going to spend, these signs are not $2 or $3 grand, we're talking about 50 grand, 30 grand, and up to put these signs in. These are not minor decisions they made to become a nuisance to the village. They made significant capital investments to make this work for their business, and in correspondingly, for the village and sales tax revenue that they're going to generate out of their businesses, at least from their perspective, out of these signs in part. I know of at least 2 instances of local businesses on St. Charles Road that are strongly of the belief that their sign gave them the best Februaries they ever had. And the signs are both new. So it's the first experience they've had of having phenomenal Februaries in businesses that typically don't have great Februaries. And the only thing they can point to is not the weather, it's their signs. The only thing that's different is the weather was actually worse than typical this year for their particular types of businesses. So for that reason, I'm going to not agree with this ordinance. I also would like to make sure I point out to the rest of the board and ask our village attorney, we're being told that these existing signs on St. Charles Road are going to be grandfathered in. That's a little misleading because people tend to think when something's grandfathered in, it's there permanently, that you can never take it down. That's not exactly accurate as my understanding, and I could be wrong. My understanding is that if a wind comes and knocks it down, or a car comes and knocks it down, or it somehow gets damaged and taken down, that the village can order you not to restore it. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
I want to make sure the board understands, it's not just the new signs that are going to come up here and possibly be placed on St. Charles Road. It's also everybody out there who's got 10, 20, 30, 50 grand invested in these signs. Some of these people that are here today have 3 signs on their lot. And I appreciate that that might not be the favorite idea, but the guys, we let him put the signs up. He's got 50 grand in signs, and we're not going to let him even put them back up. That doesn't even seem fair. Done.
Madam President, I have a point of information. I'm just reading the ordinance, and maybe you can just help me with this. In the ordinance, it references notice of a public hearing on said text amendment was published on December 24th, 2008, and then it also references below that a public hearing on January 8th, 2009. I'm a little confused. Why are we going so far back in this ordinance? I don't know.
Director Grill, if you'd like to answer that. That has come up in the past.
That was the original publication date for this issue on electronic signs. Additional meetings were held, but it was a continuance of that original January 2009 meeting.
Questions and comments from the
Madam
board?
President?
Trustee Bolfus.
I'd like to make some replies to Trustee L's comments. The fact that there aren't any businesses here.
Can everybody hear this?
Can't hear me?
There,
Can you hear me
that's
now?
better.
The fact that there aren't any businesses here supporting the sign ordinance doesn't, you can't interpret it that there are no businesses that are in support of this. You know, that's an assumption on your part. You know, so you just can't make that assumption. Now, with regards to residents haven't been requesting some regulations on electronic signs, well, the fact is that since that new smoke shop opened on St. Charles Road, we got a number of requests from residents that we have to do something about regulating the signage in that place particularly. That's just an example of what could happen if there's no regulation on electronic signs. Now, most of the owners that are here tonight that spoke in opposing the sign ordinance have the signs, I believe, except for the Bow Wow Playground. But she rents sign and time on the A to Z body fender. So they all have their signs. They all will continue to have their signs. The only thing we're asking for is, in this ordinance, is a little regulations in how the signs are operated. We're not asking you to take the signs down, is apparently until God blows them down in a heavy windstorm. So they're there. I think one of the bigger questions too is its perception. I think one of the Planning and Zoning Commission members mentioned that what kind of image, what kind of perception do we want to give to Villa Park compared to our neighboring communities and to whoever rides through town, down St. Charles Road, down North Avenue or Roosevelt Road. Because this also applies to those streets too, even though Villa Avenue, Ardmore Avenue, they're not allowed to have signs, and they don't have any out there right now. Now, the Garden Station would not be allowed to have any signs either. And what the village did, and the Planning and Zoning did over the, 2009, we just heard was the first public hearing on this, was to meet with the businesses. We actually went to the Odeon with everybody, and they ran what they could do with their signs to give everybody an example of what could happen. We listened to everybody's, they listened to everybody's comments and suggestions. And we, to be honest with you, we knew right from the beginning we weren't going to have 100% agreement on this. The village, planning and zoning, and what some people wanted was not going to agree with what the businesses wanted. So the challenge was to come up with some type of a compromise or a happy medium. So what we did is we looked at what our surrounding communities are doing. I think one of the probably the biggest objections that they have is probably how long the message has to be up on the sign. So that's one thing we looked at with our neighboring communities. Now, this ordinance says that you put a message on the board, it has to be up there for 3 seconds, and then you can change it to another one. Looking at our neighboring communities, we had Addison, they say 2 seconds. Now, these are all communities that have already done what we're doing here. Lombard has 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Carroll Streams has 3. Wheaton has 4 seconds. Elmhurst has 5 seconds. Bolingbrook 5, Wheaton 10. And they sort of came up with a compromise 3 seconds. So, you know, and they did that with other other functions of the sign. And we've got all this stuff in our, and they came up with compromise amount. Now, you know, I want to get back to this perception question. You know, what does Villa Park want to look like? You know, I don't think anybody wants us to look like Times Square or Las Vegas. But, so I was doing some riding around. I was going through neighboring communities. I went through down York Road in Elmhurst, Spring Road in Elmhurst. I went down 95th Street this last month in Oak Lawn and Evergreen Park. Lombard Main Street. A lot of these areas, their businesses are doing really well. The Oak Lawn, Evergreen Park, 95th Street has been completely redone. New landscape, streetscape, looks wonderful. And they made a big change in that community. No electric signs. There's signs. The bank has a sign out there that says the time and the temperature. They have a sign. The gas stations have electronic signs. But the businesses, no. You ride down there, it looks to me, they spent a lot of money. They must be doing pretty well. Same way with York Road and Elmhurst. I don't see, is there electronic signs hanging out over the streets? Maybe 1 or 2, probably grandfathered in, you know. So, and they have limits that they have to work on, that they have to apply to, like I said, with seconds and graphics and stuff. So, you know, what do we want St. Charles Road to look like? Do we want it to be pedestrian friendly? Do we want it when somebody comes riding down St. Charles Road from Elmhurst and they say, ah, we're in Villa Park now, we can tell, and then they get the Lombard, it changes back again. So, yeah, maybe we can, you know, shake your head, yeah, that's what we want them to do. But I don't want them to say that when they see a whole bunch of electric signs. So, my only comment for right now. Thank you.
Trustee Taglier?
We've been working on this for many years, the business owners know. I took a very pro-business stance, and we actually blocked this legislation for a couple of years. We didn't put any regulations in, and people put up their signs. I'd say 99% of the business owners have been very responsible with their electronic signs. There are some who unfortunately haven't been. It's the people who don't consider the impact on the community. I think the business community is very important, and we should do everything we can to help the business owners. Okay. This regulation is a strong compromise. The Planning and Zoning Commission worked on this for many years. I know it went to economic development, and the board's been looking at it for many years. I was very reluctant to move on this type of legislation, but when I see the eyesores and the abuses, and you have places lit up like, they look like emergency vehicles when you drive by. They distract you. We have mountains of paperwork. This board has done years of studies on flashing, blinking electronic signs. That's all we want to do, is get people into compliance. We talked to the business community. They said they'd self-police, and for the most part, everyone here is a good business owner. Your signs don't cause a problem, and I don't have any problem with your signs, and you're going to keep them. I'd be in favor if you have signs that get grandfathered in, if they get damaged by Mother Nature or something. Doesn't mean we can't fix this ordinance and add provisions. If you're a responsible business owner, you're going to get what you deserve to have. And I think it's unfair to paint this as anti-business. This is just trying to keep our community neat and friendly and pleasant looking. We want your businesses to do good. We're going to help you get the things you need. So if there's something in this that proves to be a burden on the business owner, I promise you we'll be receptive to it. If the 2-second or 3-second message doesn't work, we'll come up with answers. But it is time that the village does something. We can't just keep kicking this down the road. So this is some common sense compromise. Everybody knows what's in this ordinance. Is it perfect? No. Can we fix all the problems in it right now? No. We're going to have to work on it. And we start by implementing the plan that was brought to the business owners by planning and zoning. Many years of hard work went into this. So it's unfair to paint it as anything else. This is just a community trying to regulate electronic signs fairly. And we will do that. If there are issues in this ordinance, bring them forward and we'll address them. But it's unfair to planning and zoning, economic development, the residents in town who live by these signs. We have to represent them too. And that's why this is a compromise. So, unfortunately, not every business owner was as responsible as the owners here. And I thank you for being responsible with your signs. I'll do everything I can to make sure you get them and are able to keep them. But other than that, let's move forward.
Trustee Ayala?
I just want to make sure that,
Want to use it if you can.
I just want to make sure that everyone on the board understands, you cannot put a grandfather in, and and I'll check this with the village. You cannot pass this and then later on say, if you're, other than by a variance, you cannot amend this ordinance to say, from now on, because one guy's sign got damaged, we're going to let you put signs up and then unamend that to let that one sign go up. Would I be accurate with that?
You can always amend an ordinance.
So you can amend it for what purpose?
It would apply to all signs. It may be triggered by one, but you can always amend future ordinances. We can never bind future boards.
Okay, but this ordinance, I want to make sure we're clear what the difference is between what you're saying and what I'm saying. I want to make sure that I don't hide it when I say it. I want to make sure that you understand, it's my understanding, and you can confirm this or not, that if Dairy Queen sign goes down after this ordinance is passed, without amending this ordinance, it cannot go back up. Correct?
That is correct.
And the amendment that would allow Dairy Queen to put it back up would allow anybody on St. Charles Road to put it back up while that ordinance is amended for that period of time. Would that be correct?
You could amend the ordinance to continue the grandfathering and permit replacement.
Other questions and comments from the board? I just want to really take, unfortunately, we're at the point where we're not at the public comment that was earlier. But thank you. We heard what everybody said. We will continue to hear what you say. You can contact us anytime. Up until 2:42 this afternoon, I hadn't heard anything about any sort of complaint. And so I'm just telling you from my own personal experience. Not to say they didn't exist, but we're a very accessible board. Our information is out there, not just on the website. The village staff has sent a number of emails. They've had a number of public meetings. This predates even my time on the board, and many of us on the board, you know, in terms of the conversations and the meetings that we've had about this particular issue. You know, as a village and community development, I'm confident that they will work with you as best they can on this. Unfortunately, we haven't had anything solid on the books that could provide you with any guidance. We hadn't had any guidance either. But the amount of time and energy that planning and zoning has spent over the years, along with our staff, and we've had some staff turnover, but we've had... Okay, any other? I want to make sure there's no other comments or questions, concerns from the board.
Just so.
Oh, sure, please, but use the mic.
I was going to leave it alone, but that's a good comment, I thought, from Mr. Wagner, Trustee Wagner. I want the rest of the board to understand that that business community that's sitting here, I don't know what the rest of the world in the business community thinks, but that business community that's sitting here does believe that there was unintentional, at the very least, misinformation provided to them, with no purpose behind it, but they had a completely different perception of what we were passing today. This is not, they thought we were passing something that was very different from what we're actually passing. And I appreciate that. That's through no fault of anybody's other than it's difficult to convey the information and to hear it correctly. So I just would like to make sure the rest of the board's aware of that.
In response to Trustee Aiello's comment or question, concern, Director Grill, if you don't mind taking the mic one more time, if you can answer any of those questions, it'd be great.
In terms of what the business community thought the board was passing or not, I can't answer. I portrayed in my staff memo every concern that the business community made to me at that meeting on April 3rd. I believe that this particular ordinance is in line with all surrounding communities and represents a reasonable electronic sign ordinance in my estimation. A lot of work went into it, a lot of discussion. It took over 4 years to get to this point. There were many opportunities for the business community to be heard on this. I believe they were over the course of a 4-year period. And the ordinance before you tonight, I think, reflects a reasonable compromise and a reasonable electronic sign ordinance in this day and age.
I would just like to make sure that Mr. Grill understands I was not guiding my comments towards him. That my understanding from the business community is they do very much appreciate all the effort that you put in, and they actually enjoyed the meeting with you quite a bit.
Questions, comments from the board? Okay. Roll call vote.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
No.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
No.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Bowinkle?
Yes. Next item on the agenda, item number 6. Second reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the Villa Park Foreign Fire Insurance Board's final budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2013 and ending on April 30th, 2014. The Villa Park Municipal Code provides that the officers for the Foreign Fire Insurance Board adopt a final budget for the collection and expenditures of the foreign fire insurance tax. The final budget shall be approved by ordinance by the village board in the same fashion as any other village ordinance. The proposed budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2013 and ending April 30th, 2014 is presented for review in the amount of $34,627.05. After deliberations are concluded, it is recommended that an ordinance be adopted approving the Villa Park Fire Department Foreign Fire Insurance Board budget for fiscal year 13-14. May I have a motion on item number 6 on the second reading?
Madam President,
Trustee Taglia?
I'll move for the second reading.
We have a second?
Madam President.
Trustee Davis?
Second.
Questions and comments from the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Bowinkle?
Yes. Item number 7, resolution approving a covenant regarding non-standard pavement in village right-of-way easement at 503 East Park Boulevard. The property owner at 503 East Park Boulevard wishes to install a brick paver driveway approach extension in public right-of-way. A covenant regarding non-standard pavement in village right-of-way and/or easement would grant the property owner permission for the proposed construction and address maintenance responsibilities. Do I have a motion on item number 7? Trustee Davis. A second?
Madam President.
Trustee Bolfus?
Second.
Questions and comments from the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Davis. Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Wolfus.
Yes.
President Bowinkle.
Yes. Item number 8, village clerk's report. Clerk Kornecki?
No report tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9, unfinished business, none. Item number 10, new business, none. Item number 11, public comments on non-agenda items. This time, if you have a non-agenda item, please approach the podium. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name for the record.
Greg Hessler, 640 South Michigan Avenue. And I just appreciate what you guys are doing. You know, it takes a lot of courage and convictions to do what it is that you're doing. And appreciate it. And kind of giddy, you're doing it, not me.
Oh. Thanks, Greg. Anybody else? Hi there. Please state your name for the record.
Mike Gatz, 218 South Yale. I've been a volunteer for 8 years on the Villa Park Summerfest Commission. I wanted to take the opportunity to give you maybe some highlights on the Summerfest that was completed this weekend and bring some other topics to your attention.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank Sam Greco for his 3rd year as chair and 8 years of volunteering. Along with my fellow commission members as well, and all the volunteers that we use at the event. Over 50 showed up to help with the children's activities and such. Also like to thank my fellow CERT team members for helping with the ID station and traffic control as well. John Davis was there for most of the day, the whole event through the weekend. Along with our Villa Park Police Department, the Fire Department, Chamber of Commerce, Marlon and his Park and Recs crew, Mikey Rudick for attending all our meetings, and all our hard work on Summerfest as well. Despite the bad weather, we were able to get set up and start on time both days, so that was a challenge for us. Some of the other highlights of our event were some new attractions, zip line, cliff line hanger, and Dragon's Castle. All children seemed to enjoy. We also enjoyed seeing Chief here in the dunk tank on Saturday, and other members that were joining as well. There were over 60 arts and crafts, business, and community groups at our event. We were able to, last minute, with the help of Ben Weirsom in sound, his business donated all the audio-visual equipment to broadcast in HD the Hawks' victory for Game 5. So that was a special thing we had at last minute. Also like to thank George Strom, they're right behind me. His company, Roy Strom, donated 10 mobile recycle containers. With that effort, we were able to eliminate 150 pounds of waste to the landfill, and he also hauled it off with a 20-yard dumpster as well. So, George, thank you for that donation. So with all the good news, there is a bit of bad news. There was an unfortunate situation yesterday, Sunday, June 23rd, between 1 and 6 p.m. There was a serious theft of some refrigeration and freezer equipment that belonged to Mr. Brian Anderson, who donated that through his company, Lee's Food, Repair, and Services. He's a generous donator to our event, and he was, to say the least, unhappy with what occurred. He did report to the police department and filed a report of the theft. So, at the very least, he asked that a message be relayed to the board with a suggestion. He believes that a metal scrapper may have been involved in the situation. That's speculation. But with his opinions, he believes there should be some consideration to maybe put an ordinance in place to possibly register metal scrappers that perform scrapping services on our streets. He believes that if they were registered, they might be able to be policed better and then also monitored. With this suggestion, he also thinks that would deviate some other related thefts that may occur with these type of situations. My opinion is I agree with him in some cases, but I felt that the least I could do for him is pass that message on to the board. So on behalf of the Summerfest Commission, we are deeply saddened that this occurrence happened.
and affected him and his business and financially. So I'd like to pass on our apologies as a Summerfest. So that's what I really needed to bring to the board tonight.
Quick question, do you happen to know what the dollar value is? I know it's so
I do not.
fresh. Does he know?
I'm sure Mr. Brian Anderson can relay that to you, but I would imagine it's in the multiple thousands of dollars.
Oh, okay.
So there was an eyewitness, and that was reported to the police department.
Yeah. We'll reach out to him as well.
All right, thank you for the time.
I wasn't aware of that, and the manager hadn't heard that either yet. So I'm glad that he made a report with the police department to get that going, so.
The most disheartening point was there was major efforts of security overnight, which there was no issues, and in broad daylight yesterday after the storm, it occurred right on Arborn Park Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments on non-agenda items.
Hi, Sam Greco, 218 South Wisconsin. I just wanted to come up and thank everybody for this. Most of you probably know this is my last year as chair of Summerfest, and I'm leaving the commission entirely, but I wanted to thank everybody for the support over the years, and thank the community for the support. It was really pretty amazing to see this over 8 years build and watch, as Mike said, 50 volunteers every day that we have Summerfest every Saturday, and 9 commission members, most of us, all 8 years, put in all that time and effort. And I did enjoy the dunk tank as well, and Trustee Tagley went down quite a few times yesterday, or Saturday as well, something like 200 times. But it was a great event, outside of the one issue that Mike mentioned as well that I wanted to mention. Brian has donated his freezer for other events and things too, so it's really disheartening that happened. But again, thank you all for making Summerfest what it is.
Other public comments on non-agenda items? Okay, we'll move on to item number 12, Village Manager's Report.
Your Honor, passing the seat.
Item number 13, Village Attorney's Report. Okay. Item number 14, Village Trustees Report. We'll start on my right. Trustee Wolfus.
No report.
Okay. Trustee Taglia.
Yes, thank you for your many years of service, Sam. We're going to miss you there, so thank you very much. It was a great event.
Trustee Davis, we want to use the mics, we can pick you up on the Cable Commission, and so the residents can hear too.
Summerfish Commission, they rock. Summerfest Commission has once again rocked. That was a great fest, and all the commissioners that spent tons of hours planning this event, thank you for your time. Sam, man, all those years, I understand why you got less hair than me. That's got to be hard to do. And the search members that came out, it's what community is all about. The other thing I want to talk about is the Community Pride Commission is doing their 2013 Landscaping Awards. If you drive by or you have a neighbor that has a nice lawn that you'd like to recommend for them to award, you can email that address of the residents and if possible a photo to pride@willowpark.com, or you can also send in nominations by mail. Please mail or drop it off the nomination forms, which you can get the forms on willowpark.com, and send it to 20 South Ardmore, Village Hall, attention Community Pride Commission. And the deadline for the nomination is Friday, July 19th. So once again, Summerfest, great job. Thanks, Mr. Strom. Thank you for your donations to those hoppers. It makes a difference. Thank you.
Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very brief. I just want to echo what others have said, my appreciation and admiration for the Summerfest Commission. It's a really long day and all the hours that they spend in preparation, so very much appreciated. I would just like to offer my kudos to the Economic Development Department for the Tesla Motorworks that we have now in the Villa Park. I got a chance to tour their service facility, which is at, I believe, 855 North Ellsworth. And for those of you who don't know, Tesla is the premier electric car company, American company, and they're doing great. And it's just it's wonderful that we have them in our community. So, lastly, Madam President, just want to let the public know that the Environmental Concerns Commission will be meeting this Thursday, June 27th at 7:15. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Trustee Ayala? You done? Okay. With that, item number 15 is adjournment. Motion for adjournment.
Madam President,
Trustee Tagley?
move to adjourn.
Do we have a second? Trustee Ayala?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Our board meeting is now adjourned. Our next board meeting is on Monday, July 8th, 2013, 7:30 at Village Hall. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take a very quick, brief intermission so we can get in position for our town hall meeting. Thank you for hanging in there with us, and no less on the night where the Chicago Blackhawks are playing for the Stanley Cup. So.